Welcome back. We are going to multiply polynomials tonight, and adding and subtracting in the last section, you can only add like terms. So for example, x squared plus x squared is 2x squared, or 3ab plus 7ab is 10ab. Well, you can multiply anything, and in this case, we're going to put the numbers together. So 5 times 4 is 20. And then when you multiply x squared times x cubed, if you remember, you add exponents, that's actually x to the 5th. So this answer is 20x to the 5th. Remember, if you are trying to add x squared plus x cubed, that's impossible. You can't do that. You can only add like terms, and the answer for what you add is the like term. All right, so in the next one, we have a 3 times a 1 times a 6. So our number is 18. And then we have 1a and 2 more a's. So we have 3 a's total. And then a b cubed and a b squared. That's a b to the 5th. And we have 1c squared. So our monomial answer is that. Now, this time it's not a monomial in our answer. We have a trinomial that we're multiplying by. See how it's separated by those plus signs? So we actually distribute the 5 to every single term. So what we just did before was something like 5 times 2xy. There's no distributing there because this is a monomial. It's not separated by a plus sign. So this answer would have just been 10xy, done. This time, we're multiplying it by each individual term. We have 3 terms in the parentheses. Our answer will be 3 terms. So the first multiplication, I'll color code this, will be 10x squared. And then the second one is going to be 5x. And the third one is going to be 20. Same thing in the second. So this is our answer. So the 2 times the 6 is 12. And then we have x cubed y squared. We've got those x's, 2 x's and 1 x is an x cubed, and then 1 y and another y is a y squared. And then the plus sign separates this. We're actually looking at a binomial here. So 2 times 8 is 16. X squared times x squared is x to the 4th, and y times y squared is a y cubed. These are not like terms because the letters are not the same, so we are done. Now, there's a method that some people like to use, and it's called FOIL, meaning first you multiply the first things, then you multiply the outer, then you multiply the inner, and then you multiply the last. So this time we're not multiplying by a monomial, we're multiplying by a binomial. So we have to distribute both. Instead of remembering the word FOIL, I just like to think of double distribution. So I'm going to take this x and I'm going to distribute it to both. So x times y is xy. And then when I distribute the x to the 7, I get 7x. And then when I do the 2 to the y, I get my 2y. And then when I do the 2 to the 7, I get 14. Now, once you've double distributed or FOILed, you want to look and make sure that there's no like terms you can put together. Most times there is. In this case, there's not, so that's our answer. We're going to look at this another way, using this thing called a little matrix here. So if I put my x plus 2 up here, and my y plus 7 right here, if I multiply the x times the y, I end up with, keep this color-coded, xy. And then if I multiply my 2 times my y, I end up with 2y. And then my 7 times my x, I end up with 7x, because this side is also x. And since this side is 2, this side is also 2. Since this side is 7, this side is also 7. So this last box here is a 2 by 7, which is 14. So I'm just finding the area of each of these boxes. This box right here was a 2 by y. That's how I got 2y. And then if you add everything up inside this box here, you get the exact same answer, like this. So it's kind of another way to think about it. And then I don't often multiply vertically, but I guess you can. So you're going to take this 7, you're going to do 7 times 2, which is 14, and 7 times x, which is 7x, and then you're going to take 2 times y, which is 2y, and y times x, which is xy. Typically it's in alphabetical order. Most of the times the two middle terms will be like terms. In this case it's not. So our answer is xy plus 2y plus 7x plus 14. Same as above. Alright, so you're going to use whichever method you like best. I'm not going to do the vertical one pretty much ever, but I will show you both the FOIL, double distribution, and that matrix. So a times a is a squared. A times minus 3 is minus 3a. 4 times a is 4a. And 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. Right here we have two like terms, so our final answer is a squared plus 1a minus 12. You could write that as a squared plus a minus 12. You could write that as a squared plus a plus negative 12. That's probably my favorite. All those will work though, all the same. If we put the things in our matrix here, we have a plus 4 on one side. It really doesn't matter which side. An a and a negative 3 in the other. I'm looking at that as plus and negative because you can't lose that negative. So a times a, this box is a squared. Now since this is a, remember this is also a. So this box is an a by 4, which is 4a. This box right here is a negative 3 by a, so that's a negative 3a. And since this is 4, this is 4, so this box down here is a negative 3 by 4, which is negative 12. When you put those together, same thing. So that's your final answer. Some more double distribution. 8m squared times m squared is 8m to the 4th. 8m squared minus 3n is minus 24m squared n. Negative n times m squared is negative m squared n. And if you put n m squared, that's fine, but just be sure that you see these are like terms. It's best to put them in alphabetical order, and don't lose that negative, and don't lose this negative. So a negative 1n times a negative 3n is a positive 3n squared. Our middle two terms are like terms. So we have a negative 24m squared n and a negative 1m squared n. So that's a negative 25m squared n. And then we have our 3n squared. This is your final answer. Let's look at that in matrix form. M squared is also over here. 8m squared is also down here. Negative n is also down here. And this 3n negative is also right here. Really watch those negatives. Don't lose any of them. So 8m times the m squared is 8m to the 4th. Negative n times the m squared is negative m squared n. I'm just going to stay with alphabetical order here. 8m squared times the negative 3 is negative 24m squared n. And the negative 3n and the negative n gives us positive 3n squared. When you put those together, you get the exact same thing. You don't need to do this both ways, whichever way works for you. We're looking at D. It's going to be best to actually write this out, because if you just square both terms, in fact, probably the biggest mistake ever is people saying, oh, well, that's a squared plus 16. Well, that is not a squared plus 16. You have lost the oi of FOIL. So a times a is a squared. That's your first. Then your outer. We've got to double distribute that. Then your inner. And then your last. See how that oi of FOIL is a whole 16 or 8a? Getting all excited here. So we've got a squared plus 8a plus 16. Look up here. You didn't have that 8a. Those two middle terms are very important. So it's really vital to be able to write this out and show that you're getting a trinomial for your answer when you multiply two binomials. And that's not always the case, but most often it is. Okay, so I'm going to fill in my A and my 4, and my A and my 4, in my matrix here. A times A is A squared. 4 times A is 4A. 4 times A is 4A. 4 times 4 is 16. So again, A squared plus 4A plus 4A plus 16 gives you A squared plus 8A plus 16. You do have to put your like terms together if you have like terms. Otherwise, it will not be right. Okay, the grand finale. We're multiplying a trinomial by a trinomial. So, you can't think of the word FOIL anymore because that's only for binomials. So I'm going to just think of it as triple distribution. So I'm going to take that 3r squared and I'm going to multiply it through the second parentheses to every single term. So that's 3r to the 4th plus 6r cubed plus 12r squared. Now I'm going to do the same thing with this negative r. I'm going to multiply it to every single term. And when I multiply it through, the first time I get a negative r cubed. Instead of writing it right here, I'm going to write it right here because you see how it's lining my like terms up? And then the second one is going to line up also. So a negative r times this 2r is a negative 2r squared. And then the negative r times the 4 is a negative 4r. You can make it minuses, you can make it plus and negative. I'm going to keep the plus and negative thing going. Okay, now we're going to multiply this 5, distribute that all the way through. So 5 times r squared. See how it lines up right here? 5r squared is 5r squared. All of my r squareds are in order. 5 times 2r is 10r, and 5 times 4 is 20. Whoa. All right, so when we put all of our like terms together, I get 3r to the 4th plus 5r cubed plus 12 minus 2 plus 5 is 15r squared plus negative 4r and 10r is 6r plus that 20. You see how my letters are just so lovely going down by 1? It's exactly what you want it to look like. You want to try this with the box? You do. 3r squared, negative r, 5, r squared, a 2r, and a 4. I'm going to just rewrite this over here. R squared, a 2r, and a 4, and a 3r squared, a negative r, and a 5. So 3r to the 4th. The 3r squared and the 2r give us 6r cubed. And then the 3r squared and the 4 give us our 12r squared. So that's everything in black that I initially had. Then this is all my red stuff. Negative r and r squared is negative r cubed. Negative r and 2r is negative 2r squared. Negative r and 4 is negative 4r. And then my green stuff. 5 times r squared is 5r squared. 5 times 2r is 10r. And then 5, or we could look like this, times 4 is 20. Everything in green. So again, when you put those together, you get exactly what you initially had. That is 5 terms, 4th degree polynomial. Very exciting. All right, have a great night.